So many editorials written over the last few days calling on President Biden to drop out of the race. There was one major city newspaper that said the opposite, the city of Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Inquirer. Michael Nutter's the former Democratic mayor of that city, and he joins us right now. I want to put up the Inquirer's op-ed just for a moment, Mr. Mayor, to talk about what they said. When everyone, New York Times and everyone was saying Biden get out, the Inquirer says Trump should get out. To serve his country, Donald Trump should leave the race, acknowledging Biden had a horrible night, but the debate about the debate is misplaced. Where are you on this issue right now? What should happen in terms of the Democratic nominating process?
It should continue to go forward. Thanks for having me on. I just want to say to my fellow Democrats, just stop. Stop the speculating. Stop hand-wringing, wondering what we're going to do. We have an incumbent president who has done an incredible job. Yes, he had a bad night. Connell, I guess, I'd have to ask you, did you ever have a bad day at the office? Did you ever have a bad show? Did anyone suggest you should be
It's interesting you break that. We were actually talking about that earlier.
And what?
You know what's interesting about that question, Mr. Mayor? We actually talked about that earlier, half jokingly. No, not that bad. Never for that long. We do a show for 2 hours. Never have, I could say, I've lost my train of thought that many times. Never had that many issues. So that's the one bad night theory. Not talking about me personally, but I'm just saying, in general. Yeah. The one bad night theory is interesting to me because if that happened that night, don't we have to assume that it's happened many other nights, that there are good days and there are very, very bad days?
I'm not going to make any assumptions about what happens in the White House. The one thing I do know is that President Biden is doing the job each and every day. He was just at the G7 not too long ago. There were no reports about anything happening there. He's not running the government by himself. There are any number of cabinet secretaries, department officials, et cetera, et cetera.
But think the buck does stop with him, as you know.
No question, and he makes the right decisions each and every time. On the other hand, he was on the stage, kind of amazing, maybe only in America, with a guy that's got 91 indictments, convicted on 34, another 57 or so to go. He's been convicted of being of sexual assault, convicted of being a fraudster, and lied, at least according to the media, at least another 30 some odd times. And so this is a guy who was talking about sharks and batteries not too long ago at one of his rallies. And so, as the president said, the one thing he does know how to do, he knows how to tell the truth and speak to the American people and do the job.
That's why a lot of Democrats were so upset, because they say this is such a beatable candidate in Donald Trump. To your point, many of these Democrats have said he's lying through his teeth through the entire time, and Biden let it go, didn't take advantage of it when it came to the abortion question, didn't take advantage of it in the January 6th question, and that to them was a red flag. That was a red flag.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever been in a political debate or run for office. You have to make a decision as a candidate. How many rabbit holes are you going to go down all night long? How many lies? I mean, how many? I've never seen a person tell so many lies per minute. I mean, so.
But if abortion's your number one issue, just be fair, Mr. Mayor, and you get a chance to respond, and you bring up immigration, which is your worst issue, that's a big mistake. I mean, that's a big mistake. That you really let a fastball down the middle go by for a called strike.
I understand that, and I don't know if you hit 300 or so, I think you go to the Hall of Fame or so. So look, it was one debate. I think the president probably hasn't debated in 4 years. It's a different kind of venue, a different kind of environment. I think he spent a fair portion of that time just being amazed at the nonsense that Donald Trump was saying, and the lies and untruths. So, I just can't get wound up about one night at a debate when I know Joe Biden.
So you say stay the course. You know him. You say stay the course. Pennsylvania's a big state. Let me bring up a story that just crossed from Bloomberg News this afternoon to see if you think this is a good idea. They're actually saying that what the DNC might do is not only stay the course, but nominate Biden early. The speculation is to get him on the ballot in some of these states, they may nominate him as early as, let's see what it says, July 21st. Also to get ahead of all this talk about a swap. Do you think something like that would be a good idea, or do we need more tests for this president, interviews, news conferences, and the like to prove that he can do the job?
I think that, it's a test every day when you're in that job, whether you're mayor, governor, and certainly president. I have no idea. Ultimately, most of us have no idea what that job is really like. I think we need to all of us, D-side and others, sane Republicans and independents. Let's calm down. Let's get through the next week or so. Stop the speculation. Let's get back to work. This election is going to be tough and it's going to be tight.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.